Good morning. Welcome to Raaonline. Today's class is anterior triangle of the neck, in which first we'll discuss about the subdivisions of anterior triangle and digastric triangle. So the competency related to this anterior triangle are AN 32.1 and 32.2, in which at the end of the session the student should be able to describe the boundaries and subdivisions of anterior triangle and to describe the boundaries and content of digastric triangle, which comes under AN 32.2. So what is anterior triangle? The muscle which subdivides the neck triangle is the sternocleidomastoid muscle, which is shown as green color structure. So the sternocleidomastoid muscle divides the neck into anterior and posterior. So the structures that lie anterior to the anterior border of the sternocleidomastoid muscle is the anterior triangle. Those lie posterior to it is the posterior triangle of the neck. So the anterior triangle is a large triangular space on the front of the neck between the two sternocleidomastoid muscle. So this area is the anterior triangle of the neck. So the boundaries of anterior triangle, anteriorly it is bounded by anterior median line of the neck. So here, which is extending from the symphysis menti, to the suprasternal notch is the anterior median line. So this is the anterior median line. This is the anterior boundary. The anterosuperiorly, posteriorly it is bounded by anterior border of the sternocleidomastoid muscle. So this is the anterior border. This is the sternocleidomastoid muscle. So this is the anterior border of the sternocleidomastoid muscle. And the apex is the meeting point, is the suprasternal notch. So this is the suprasternal notch. And the base. The base is formed by lower border of the body of the mandible and a line extending from the angle of the mandible to the mastoid process. So this line, so this is the symphysis menti, the lower border of the mandible and an imaginary line connecting the angle of the mandible and mastoid process. This is the mastoid process. MP represent mastoid process. So this triangle is the anterior triangle of one side. So you have on either side you have two right-sided anterior triangle and the left-sided anterior triangle. So I am repeating again. Anteriorly it is bounded by anterior median line. Posteriorly by anterior border of the sternocleidomastoid muscle. The apex is formed by the meeting point of anterior and posterior border, that is suprasternal notch, and base is formed by the line that is in the lower border of the body of the mandible and the imaginary line connecting the angle of the mandible and the mastoid process. Whereas the roof is formed by a thin glassy membrane, or able to appreciate a thin white paper-like structure. This is the investing layer of the deep cervical fascia. So you have shown the two layers. This is one layer and this is the another layer. So these two layers are nothing but the investing layer of deep cervical fascia, which forms the roof of the anterior triangle of neck. So not only the investing layer, over superficial to the investing layer, you can see one muscle on other side. This is the platysma. So the platysma also forms the roof of anterior triangle of the neck.